Welcome back, eDiscovery viewers. Today we're talking about time zones. We are here joined by Kieran again.
How are you?
Who is a project manager at eDiscovery. Kieran, it's great to have you here. So the way conversation about time zones came up is Kieran had a call from a client who had sent us a number of custodians for processing.
And all were in the same time zone.
Right. But then there were a couple of custodians that the client asked to process in a different time zone.
Yeah.
So what was the reason for that?
Well, the reason for that is there were two people that were working in a satellite office in a different state. Mm-hmm. So although all of the data up until then had been Pacific time, they were like, oh, now that we think about it, these two custodians are in the New York office.
Right.
So they should be Eastern.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Yes, it totally makes sense from the geographical point of view.
Yeah.
However, when you process that data and actually work with it, there's some downsides to doing it that, right?
Right. First of all, it makes things difficult to sort chronologically. If 90% of your custodians are in one time zone,
Yeah.
and then there's just a few in another, and you try to sort everybody's email,
Yes.
the ones in the different time zone might even look like they're doing things on a different day.
Yeah, they could be like shifted and it's not going to fall in the chronological order.
Right.
And you also have to, well, not you, but we in the EDD have to keep track of it, which again is not a big deal. We can assign a custodian their preferred time zone and so on, but mistakes could happen and somebody could say, oh yeah, this was
the
that.
more moving pieces there are, the more room for error at some point.
So what was your recommendation to the client once you talk to them? Or what do we, I guess we can talk about more general, what do we recommend to clients when multiple time zones are involved?
Right. Well, generally, it's best to pick one time zone for everything. So a lot of people use GMT, or UTC as it's called now.
Right, but that doesn't always make sense because sometimes companies' office, well, could be
If all of the business is done in the same time zone,
Yeah.
you may as well use the one that's accurate.
Right, that would make the most
But if
sense.
there's going to be multiple locations.
Or data is like all over the world, then GMT certainly makes sense.
Right. And if they at some point say, but we really need to know what time this person actually sent that email,
Right.
we can create a custom field and populate it with the different time zone if they need to keep track of that, so they can still sort things across their whole universe of documents.
So for those two custodians that were different time zone, we would create date sent Pacific or Mountain time, and we would copy the dates and times over, offsetting them to account for the time zone.
Exactly.
And then when the reviewer goes to that document and they see that something happened at 5 p.m., well, they know it's actual 5 p.m. of that person's time, and they were maybe leaving at that time, and this is when they send that email.
Right.
As opposed to having it be, 8 p.m. and you're like, well, was this person working from home at the moment, or were they at the office? So it's easier to connect the actual email with the time that something is happening.
Right. We had one case where the issue was how much overtime people were doing.
Right.
So for that case, we had to use the specific time zone of each custodian.
Yes.
Because that was what mattered in that case.
Right.
But in general, it's more convenient to be able to sort across everyone.
Totally agree with you. So how did your conversation with the client went? What did they decide to do?
Well, once I pointed out to them that sorting would become a little bit tricky, they were like, oh, that's a good point. So yeah, use the same time zone for everybody.
And they actually went along with your recommendation?
They went along with my recommendation, which is nice when that happens.
It's always great. So I think that kind of sums up our recommendation as far as time zone processing.
Yep.
If you guys do anything different, let us know in the comment section below. And as usual, don't forget to follow eDiscovery on social media networks listed on your screen. And for previous videos, check us out on YouTube. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.